It's a very beautiful and very warm Wednesday morning, the 4th of August in the year 2015. My name is Dapo Banjo. Welcome once again to your show. This is Cool this is Cool TV, it's not Cool FM, but that's our daughter company, but notwithstanding. This is Cool TV, channel 196 on Star Times. And we're back. This is Crossfire. I'm not alone. Ishoma Gaide is here. We have a couple of business to do, and I'll be running that with Ishoma very actively today. Ishoma, what's up?
I'm good. Good
right.
morning and welcome to Crossfire today.
All right. Like I said, it's a very, very warm Wednesday morning, and I'm taking it cool because on Wednesdays,
I understand. When you consider some of the issues, look at the papers we have scattered up all over the not places. To get one during
And then, because of the package that we're putting together for Wednesday, we discussed that really very extensively before we came into the studio. All right, this morning we'll be looking at how far back the Buhari administration will be probing past governments in Nigeria. That is going to be our main focus for today. How far back, how dated back, well into the past should the Buhari administration's probe of past government go? Should it be taken through, during the military era, or we should just limit it to 1999 when democracy actually, became entrenched as a system of government, in Nigeria. All right, so we'll be looking at all the elements that will inform, and that should help, President Muhammadu Buhari's administration to go ahead about the probe and the anti-corruption fight, to ensure that public office holders are brought to book, especially those of them that probably would have been alleged to have mismanaged or siphoned or engaged in some form of corrupt practices over the years. Now, but before we start before we start discussing that in detail, we will go into a couple of stories that are making headlines, and then we will come back to that. And please get ready to be a part of the show today. We want you to tell us exactly what your position is. Do you want the Buhari administration to probe? One, and then two, how far should the probe go? Should they probe Obasanjo's administration, Abdulsalami Abubakar's administration, or IBB's administration, or it should just be limited to Jonathan, which is the immediate past administration? But let's look at a couple of stories that are making headlines. And the first on our list this morning is Buhari. Buhari orders reduction of recurrent expenditure in 2016 budget. President Muhammadu Buhari has asked the National Planning Commission to alter the present economic planning that reproduce a framework that will reduce recurrent expenditure and prioritize developmental projects in 2016 budgets. Now, even on Crossfire, Ishoma, we have had to take a very close look at, for example, the issue, the case in Osun State, as we discussed yesterday, is a very classical example of, the number of civil servants versus the number of population, or the total population of people living in Osun State as we speak. Information have it that Osun State, have about 35,000, civil servants, people who are depending, on government every month in, month out, and year in and year out. And I'm very sure the number probably is either the same or maybe much more. If the population of Osun State is about 35 million or 4 million, overall, let's assume, we have a population of close to 20 million in Lagos State. So, information have it that, when a country or an economy totally is depending, or the amount of money budgeted to run that state or to run that country in a particular year or a frame of time is the greater percentage of it is on recurrent expenditure. Therefore, you know that there will be a major crisis in that kind of an economy. no infrastructural development will take place because the bulk of the money will go into salary payment, allowances, probably trainings.
I need to understand because this is where it's confusing for me.
Okay.
I understand the fact that the nation is in a dilemma right now as it looks and stands right now. But let's look at some very key things. Now, these civil servants are not waking up and they're not idle. They have responsibilities. They have duties and jobs which they do to also help that state generate revenue. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, when you cut them off work, what does that mean? Invariably, it means the state will not have some duties to be performed, or some duties will not be performed to the state that could help that state generate revenue. If you look at some of the things I don't
outrightly think so.
Well, that's it.
Now, when you look at it from the back end, it will appear. But if you look at recurrent
expenditure, it's large. Look at salaries. I mean, I don't think the issue of civil servants should come in here because one of the focal points of this administration is employment. And also, we're looking at it that if the state, the federal government and the various states can also, do something about that, it will be good, but not you reducing the number of civil servants you have in the states. Let's also look at if you want to reduce recurrent expenditure.
What would you expect a government to do when
look at the salaries?
When you are lacking.
Let's look at salaries, for example. I mean, salaries of some of these political office holders. There's so many things. Or is it, their allowances also? Those are the areas I think the government should look at when it comes to reducing the recurrent expenditure budget. Because if they say they're going to reduce this, mind you, this is an administration that has said they will look at social welfare. Talking about the aged, so they could give them stipends, or some form of allowances to help them at the end of every month. Now they also talked about unemployed graduates who also get something at the end of every month, pending when they can get good jobs. So if they come out to say, okay, they want to reduce recurrent expenditure, that means if really they're going to focus on reducing recurrent expenditure, that means there wouldn't be any provision for any of these welfare packages, as they have said.
Not particularly. Let's look at.
If you want to give free gifts to people, why don't you now? Would you now look at cutting your civil servants?
Let's look at it this way. Let's put it in perspective so that people will understand and then they can call us in and participate. Now, let's look at it from what a current expenditure actually is. I mean, recurrent expenditure. It actually means payments or expenses that is that is totally separated, other than the capital expenditures or capital assets. Now, that involves buying and storing of stationaries and paying of salaries. It can also involve, interest payment. It can be subsidies of some sort. It can be transfers. It can border around trainings and so many other ways that government of a particular state in Nigeria or the government at large in the central is diversifying the funds. And when I say diversifying funds, I mean, appropriation of the budget for a particular frame of time. So when we talk about 2016 budget, we're saying that when a nation or when Nigeria concentrates so much on what they buy, I mean, the kind of subsidies they give to, to civil servants and public office holders, the type of journeys that they make outside the country, probably to attend some conferences or the other, and the salaries, that is being paid. When this is
some of the medical allowances,
exactly, and all of those subsidies and allowances.
I completely support this position, but where I probably may have an issue with this is when it begins to affect the paycheck of civil servants, of average Nigerians whose salaries are meager and not even enough for them to foot their bills.
Now, it definitely will affect
I will have an issue with this when it begins to affect some of the social welfare packages that the government they have promised the common man.
Okay, let me ask you this simple question.
But if this reduction is geared more at the cost of governance, I
think we are just being emotional. If we are going to seriously,
you are just looking at it from the effect. Because all of this will have negative effects on the society.
If you are looking at it from,
if it directly or indirectly affects the common man.
One way or the other, it's going to affect them. There is no way it's not going to affect them. Now, I'm saying that, see, there is a possibility that we have, how will I put it, that a particular government, let's use any state of the federation as a classical example. When you have, more than enough people that you have employed to do a particular set of, job or to carry out a particular responsibility. I mean, my mother was a civil servant, and I know that, for a very long time, there's this, cloud around civil servants. It's like they are free. It's that they have time to do so many other things. Do you understand? Hold on. Follow my analysis too. Okay. So, over the years, there is every possibility. The reason why President Muhammadu Buhari is considering, reduction in cost of governance, and particularly to reduce, expenses when it comes to recurrent expenditure, it is very, very vital. Vital in the sense that when you go to a lot of, go into some of the ministries, hold on, Ishoma, go into some of the ministries. I know. You are looking at it from the back end of, okay, if you are not paying them, they will suffer. How much are you even paying them in the first place? They will suffer. Their children will not be able to go to school. So many other things will not be, and the truth is that...
Look, my friend, the reason why, like you said, some of them seem to have so much time on their hands is because there are no proper policy management. They do not have proper accountability policies. For example, at the end of the day, I don't want to believe so. You have responsibilities, Mr. Dapo. You have responsibilities. At the end of the day, I have this target. I must meet this. I have a line manager or whoever it is I am reporting to, true or false. At the end of the day, people or the company or the agency or whatever organization, they can verify your activities for the day. So they know that, okay, well, you are not being idle. Does that happen in civil service? That does not happen in the civil service because of the issues they have with their policies, which that's an issue that should be addressed. But when it comes to saying, okay, we want to call recurrent expenditure, let's reduce cost of governance. And well, yes, cost of governance is beautiful, reduce it. But when it begins to affect the paycheck or cutting off some people.
No, not cutting off that way. It's excesses we are talking about.
I wouldn't want to look at this as excesses. For example, let's look at some of these projects. I mean, some of the projects which have been awarded. If you look at the sums or the amounts they end up amounting to, they are flamboyant. Because you look at them and you wonder that for this particular thing, why? You mentioned stationery. Some of these things all amount towards recurrent expenditure. Okay, you and I know that some of these things are unnecessary. So if the reduction is going to affect those areas, beautiful and fine. But for it to extend to civil servants, for it to extend to reduction in some of the welfare packages, which ordinarily the people should enjoy, then that is where I would not agree with.
My concern is a complete diversification away from, intangible assets and so many other, elements of recurrent expenditure that government spends money on monthly basis, on yearly basis, that is not adding to the state of proper accountability and developmental, infrastructural development in that particular state. Now, let me give you a classical example. Now, you are trying as much as possible as a government, for instance, to ensure that the economy of your state expands and that people have opportunity to do more businesses and all of that. But meanwhile, you are busy, spending money, increasing salaries of workers and giving, unnecessary allowances. If the concentration yes, I'm telling you, if concentration, for instance, you say that a particular, based on qualification, for instance, there is no way somebody who is coming into the civil service with a secondary school certificate can go beyond a certain level. But yet you expose that person to probably a level 10 or a level 11, a graduate level. You expose them to such trainings just because you want to spend more money on training. Now, the issue is that government should be sensitive enough to be able to say...
No, I need to clarify something. Are you saying such trainings are not necessary?
I am saying that it is not appropriate because on the long run, the person will not leave the level he is or the level she is.
Look, my friend.
The person will not leave it.
At the end of the day, such trainings for me, I believe they're necessary as long as it aids that individual in becoming a better person on the job. That individual,
how do you mean becoming a better person on the job?
That individual may find themselves within
personal development programs should be, you are paying the person's salary. If he wants to upgrade himself, let him upgrade himself. You should not, a government should not be the one to go and make you to register to become a chartered accountant. What of other people who have used their money to do the same?
Are they within the civil service? If they're not within the civil service, well, I'm sorry. But if the government understands,
so I mean, so you will eventually, you are eventually, I'm not your friend. You are eventually trying to say
all over the world, nations all over the world, they understand that when it comes to training and development, development, my friend, it comes in various ways. It comes in various forms.
Of course.
Now, when you train an individual who is working under the particular civil service commission, it's only to help that individual become a better person on the job. For example, one of the issues we have in some states is that you have civil servants who look like they do not know their left from their right. Why? Aside the fact that they do not have some specific trainings or educational qualifications, but it's also because they lack specific trainings to make them better at the job.
You are just thinking like thinking like a civil servant.
I'm not thinking like a civil servant, but I'm thinking like a Nigerian. No,
you are thinking like a civil servant.
Nigerian here.
We are talking about no development in the nation. You are busy paying salaries at the expense of what will grow the economy of that particular state.
God bless. What are the things that will also help in growing the economy of that particular nation?
Infrastructure, build institutions,
training,
build institutions,
training.
I understand the position of training. So okay, anyway, let's take this call. Let's take this call. Good morning, Victor. Good morning, Victor.
That one, and good morning.
Good morning, boss.
In fact, we need to be sincere.
Okay.
If we want to cut cost on governance, it has nothing to do with civil servants or whatsoever. There was this analogy one time that in a ministry you might have 3 or 4 secretaries with one old typewriter.
Thank you.
And these 3 secretaries cannot sit on one typewriter at the same time.
Very true.
So it means that if you want to move the ministry forward, these 3 secretaries, each of them needs their own typewriter or a good system to work on. Last year or so, Federal College of Education, they went, Federal Unity Colleges, they went on strike because of unpaid arrears of salaries and promotions. But do you know why? Because those at the ministry could not treat their files and take it to the appropriate quarters where their monies with them. Do you get me? Yeah. So if governments want to move the ministries forward, they need to do something. And as I speak presently, go to all the Federal Unity Colleges, they have shortage of staff for over 10, 15 years. Do you understand? Shortage of teachers. So how will you downsize when you cannot even equip them properly? So that is on one aspect. The other aspect I want to speak on concerning probing. The truth is that if Buhari wants to probe, he needs to start from himself. Because the problem of Nigeria started when he truncated democracy. I want to be frank with you. Okay. And if you check through memory lane, you find out that immediately he was overthrown, Babangida legalized corruption. Abacha told the same line. So Obasanjo came and all of them followed the same line. So you cannot holistically pick just one sector and say you are starting from there. And true, okay, if you want to start from there and also say it in this platform, for everybody to believe him that he is just, he should start from his own house.
Thank you.
Start from Anichi.
All right, thank you very much, Victor. Nice contribution. All right, let's quickly go on a short break now. When we come back, we'll be talking about how far back should Buhari's probe of past government go? Should he go back into the military time, or it should just start in 1999 when democracy started? We'll be talking about that in details when we come back.
So, did you like what you just saw? I know you did. It's very simple. If you want to see more, just subscribe to our channel right now.